Hey everyone, my name is Brendan and welcome back to the channel. We have some big news coming out of the crypto space today because FTX just announced that they have recovered over $5 billion in assets, but they are not the only crypto platform to come out with a little bit of good news because we also got news about Voyager. Now we're going to be covering both of these in today's video and talking about what's happening in the crypto market right now, because most cryptocurrencies are pushing back upwards over here, especially layer 2 scaling solutions for Ethereum, and that's going to be a big talking point as well. So if any of this sounds interesting, make sure you stick around for the entire length of the video, as there will be important information discussed the entire way through. But let's work our way through the news first, and then we'll get over into what's happening in the different price charts of a couple different cryptos like Bitcoin and those layer 2 scaling solutions like we were talking about. Now, to start things off with FTX and Voyager, with FTX, they basically came out here and said, hey, we have recovered officially over $5 billion in assets. Now, is this all of their assets? No, unfortunately, it's not. They still have quite a bit of assets to continue to try to recover, but right now what the breakdown looks like is that they have recovered more than $5 billion in different assets, but this does not include an additional $425 million in crypto that I believe that the Securities Commission in the Bahamas, I almost said the SEC, is holding. So what's the breakdown here? Well, they're pushing to be what looks to be about $5.5 billion of recovered money. Now again, this isn't all Bitcoin, this isn't all cash, it's from a number of different assets, but they could still be missing anywhere from $1 to maybe another $5 billion, maybe even more than that. But it's speculated that they could still be missing around $5 billion more dollars, which is still quite a bit of money. Now, one of the statements that they made, and Voyager made a very, very similar statement, is saying, hey, this is a step in the right direction. Our focus here is to get money back into customers' hands. In fact, what they say right here is, it doesn't matter even who collects this $1 for customers, so long as the customers get it. And so that seems to be their big focus of this, is how can we undo some of the damage that was done, because there was so much money lost in this. It was one of the biggest financial fiascos in history. Now, we don't want to beat a dead horse into the ground, but let's talk about what's happening over here with Voyager. Now, it looks like Binance US is going to be able to bid and have a really good shot at getting Voyager. Now, if you're not familiar with this situation, FTX was supposed to be the one that was going to be bidding for some of Voyager's assets. The only problem is FTX went bankrupt as well. So now Binance is likely going to be the one bidding for some of Voyager's assets and FTX's assets. And so it's quite the turn of events, I think, to say the least. But another important thing to understand here is that it's not all of Voyager's assets. From what we can tell right now, it's just some of Voyager's assets that are going to be going up for the bidding. And they've kind of just reopened this process, and Binance US seems to be the one that wants to partake in it. And it looks like they're going to be the highest bidder. So time will tell as we get closer to a close date for this. But they seem to be very focused on getting money back into their customers' hands as well. And they actually had a quote in here that I wanted to read, where it says, "We do not want to delay getting money back into our customers' hands. Importantly, we also took a very hard look at a standalone self-liquidation." So basically, the moral of the story here is that they want money to get back into customers' hands as fast as possible, as what looks like it's the case at FTX as well. Now, the trial for FTX doesn't look like it is anywhere near being over. Sam Bankman-Fried is still chilling at his parents' house over in, I almost said San Diego, in San Francisco, California. And so as this all gets close, I know we all have so many questions. I have questions that I want answered. I'm sure all of you, especially as the holders, have questions that all of you want answered as well, and I wish I could give them to you all right now, but unfortunately all I could do is present you with the facts that we have in front of us. So, moral of the story here, Binance is propping themselves up to be an absolute giant in the space. They could very well be one of the companies that is taking a lot of Voyager's and FTX's assets, the ones that aren't going to be getting redispersed to customers. So Binance could be expanding their market share rapidly. And I think what stuck out to me the most here is that it wasn't Binance, it was Binance US specifically for the Voyager bid. And that's probably due to some sort of regulatory issue, but it's still interesting none the least. And I think Binance recognizes that there's probably a hole for US investors now where they've lost a lot of their exchanges, and maybe they want to try to be the person that fills that hole and takes that market share away. So we will see. Now, back to what's happening to the charts over here. I know a lot of you guys like to wait for the charts and see exactly what's happening on the technical analysis, but price has been moving steadily back up, and we've talked about this. Now, if you remember from my previous videos, we've talked about how pretty much Bitcoin has two main levels of support, two main levels of resistance. In fact, if you're in Crypt Nation or Altcoin Alert and you're tuning into these videos, you've probably heard me say this more times than than I need to. But the big resistance levels here for Bitcoin are $17,500, the previous low that then turned into resistance over here, and guess what? It's being used as resistance once again. And then up here closer to around 18,500, because this is where we saw really kind of the second bottoming zone of this consolidation area, where we saw a lot of bottoming candles over here. So previous support now clearly turned resistance. And so for that reason, we have two main levels of resistance on Bitcoin. We have 17,500 and 18,500. 17,500 right now, it's sticking. It's the closest resistance level. We are seeing a little bit of struggle, but what I do like to see is that we're still fluctuating around inside of this range. Now we have support closer to around 16.3K and then more at around 15.5K. So I guess this area right here and then this guy down here. Another good sign is that Bitcoin has broken up above the 20 and the 50-day moving average, hooked on it, and then went up to resistance. Now we could hook on resistance, definitely retest that 50 or 200-day moving average, and then we kind of have to decide where we want to go from there. So I think the likely moves from here is that Bitcoin either goes directly back down to its 20 and 50-day moving average, or maybe we see a breakout and then we go right up to around 18.6K. Now I don't really see anything stopping Bitcoin in between these zones, but those are the two likely scenarios. And if we break the moving averages, then the odds are we're probably coming to try to test a higher swing low around $16.3 to $16.4 thousand on Bitcoin. But I did promise everyone that we were going to take a little bit of a look at the layer 2 scaling solutions, because they have been popping off lately. You look at what's happening over here with Matic, and I think we're going to do like a little short recap of this and really hit it heavily in Friday's video. So make sure you stick around for that one. But if we look at like Matic and Optimism, Matic's up around 167% on the year. It's above all of its moving averages. It's at a nice, really just nice candle chart. And then if you look at Optimism, Optimism is in a really good spot as well, because Optimism has this beautiful upwards trending support line where it's bounced consecutively and consistently off of like 4 or 5 separate times. And similar to Matic, Optimism is up big in the last 6 months. Optimism's up over 200%. So both of these, while most cryptocurrencies are near, even stocks, most stocks are near multi-year lows, you have things like Optimism, Matic, a lot of these other side chains for Ethereum that are just crushing it right now. So I think we're going to make a full in-depth video about these on Friday. So if you want to stick around for that one, definitely do consider doing it myself. And as always, it was my pleasure making this video for all of you today. And if you want to stick around for more videos like this one, definitely consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it will help you stay in the loop on everything cryptocurrency related. But thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you in Friday's video.